Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday Going Within gathering. And to start our night, we have our beautiful vocalist, Terry Wilder. She's also a gongstress and songwriter and singer. And we are going to rise up.
Good evening, everybody. I invite you to sing along with me as you're so inclined. If you feel like standing too, shaking your thing, feel free. Here we go. Rise up to your elation. Rise up to your love. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy. Sing that with me again. Rise up to your elation. Rise up to your love. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy. Feeling heart's desire. Rise up to your love. Soaring ever higher. Rise up to your joy. Flowing with the change. Rise up to your love. Dancing in the rain. Rise up to your joy. Sing it with me now. Rise up to your elation. Rise up to your love. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy. Sing that again now. Rise up to your elation. Rise up to your love. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy. Digging in so deep. Rise up to your love. Waking from your sleep. Rise up to your joy. Feeling your release. Rise up to your love. Coming home to peace. Rise up to your joy. Rise up to your elation. Here we go. Rise up to your love. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy. Last chance to sing it now. Rise up to your elation. Rise up to your love. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy. Rise up again. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy.
All right, thank you, Terry.
And the crowd goes wild. Welcome,
Wilder.
Seaside Wednesday Nighters. I'm Reverend Bill Salisbury. It's my great pleasure to host this edition of Wednesday night. This is the Going Within, Practicing the Presence we usually have up here service, and it's a candle lighting service. So before we go into the meditation, I'm going to invite you, if you haven't already done so, or if you have done so and wish to come up and do another one, come up and light a candle with the intention of grounding yourself in that divinity that you are, with the intention of being wholly, completely engulfed in that love that is the divine. And then just take that love with you into the meditation. Think, if you will, about a time, a place, a person, an event, a circumstance that just filled you with joy, filled you with love. Remember that feeling and carry that with you. After the meditation, of course, we are going to have a treatment and a reading by our practitioner, Rebecca. And a special treat tonight, we have ministerial student, soon to be Reverend Nichole Von Atzingen. And of course, Terry Wilder and Jim Bianchi. We got it all going on. So in addition to that spiritual shot in the arm on a Wednesday night, we get entertainment too. So right now I just invite you, come forward, light your candles.
We listen, we hear, we remember. Love is the way. Love is the way. Now in our hearts more than ever. Love is the way. Love is the way. Love is the way to love. Receiving, believing, we remember. Love is the way. Love is the way. Here in our hearts with each other. Love is the way. Love is the way. Love is the way to love.
And so it is from a place of deep knowing. There is one source of good in the universe, and that source is God. Timeless, changeless, and ever present. All courage and wisdom. God is the all in all. And I affirm my oneness with infinite intelligence. I am the voice of truth, speaking through me, as me. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. And what I know for me, I know for each person within the sound of my voice. Each is perfect, whole, and complete, an aspect of the Creator. Guided to this evening by divine appointment, I know all questions are asked and all answers are heard as the beautiful message of Nichole takes us forward to experience the next step on our personal soul path. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be in this sacred place tonight, to receive these sacred words. And in this perfect moment in time, I release my word into the law of mind, knowing it is already done. And so it is. Amen. Good evening. I'm Rebecca Venkatraman, your practitioner this evening. And holding the light, we have practitioner Ellen Rice. And as a special treat tonight, we have a third practitioner, Trudy Selfke, here. And you know we all love to pray. So if you have something on your heart, we will be right outside those doors after service. Please stop and visit with us. So when I asked Nichole what she would like the reading to be tonight, she said to me, just do something out of the box. So that's what we have. I'd like to start with a quote from Ernest. It's from his book, It Can Happen to You, on page 38. And his quote is, "The pattern of your thinking is evidence of what you have faith in." And now I'd like to share a story from a book called Famous Fables. Many hundreds of years ago, in a small Italian town, a merchant had the misfortune of owing a large sum of money to the moneylender. The moneylender, who was old and ugly, fancied the merchant's beautiful daughter. So he proposed a bargain. He said he would forego the merchant's debt if he could marry the daughter. Both the merchant and the daughter were horrified by the proposal. Black or white? The moneylender told them that he would put a black pebble and a white pebble in an empty bag. And then the girl would have to pick one from the bag. If she picked the black pebble, she would become the moneylender's wife, and her father's debt would be forgiven. If she picked the white pebble, she need not marry him, and her father's debt would still be forgiven. But if she refused to pick a pebble, her father would go to jail. They were standing on a pebble-strewn path in the merchant's garden. And as they talked, the moneylender bent over and picked up 2 pebbles. As he picked them up, the sharp-eyed young girl noticed he had picked up 2 black pebbles and put them in the bag. He then asked the girl to choose a pebble from the bag. What would you do? If you had to advise her, what would you tell her? You might think one of these 3 possibilities. The girl should refuse to take a pebble. The girl should show that there were 2 black pebbles in the bag and expose the moneylender for the fraud he was. The girl should pick a black pebble and sacrifice herself in order to save her father from his debt and imprisonment. However, the above story will hopefully make us appreciate thinking outside of the box. The girl put her hand into the money bag and drew out a pebble. Without looking at it, she fumbled and let it fall to the pebble-strewn path, where it immediately became lost among the other pebbles. Oh, how clumsy of me! But never mind. If the pebble in the bag is the one that's left, then you'll know what color the pebble was that I dropped. Since the remaining pebble in the bag was black, it must be assumed that she had picked the white one. And since the moneylender dared not admit his dishonesty, the girl changed what seemed to be an impossible situation into an advantageous one. And so there you have it, thinking outside of the box.
Thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca Van Conterman, ladies and gentlemen. RSP. And as she mentioned, we've got Ellen Rice, RSP, holding the light. Trudy Seifke, RSP, holding the light up front. And always wanted to rather be safe than sorry. I brought my own practitioner, Beverly Bresden, RSP, because you never know what you're going to find at the other end of the line. And of course, this whole thing is facilitated and put together by Reverend Karen Copeland. So we got prayer power here. If after this service you want to take advantage of some of that, please help yourself. Now, without much further ado, I'm just going to tell you about our guest speaker tonight. She's a fourth-generation religious scientist. Although, truth be told, she did take a couple of years and wander off to make sure that what she had been steeped in early on was still what she meant to stay in. And it's true, she did. And I promise you, this is a true heart. Nichole is in ministerial school right here, Science of Mind Ministerial School, School of Spiritual Leadership at this center. And her intention is to live the principles of science of mind and to aid and abet any others who would like spiritual practices imbued in them or reinforced in them, taught to them. So the main word I think we use to describe Reverend Nichole is enthusiasm, light, heart, and eagerness. So without further ado, let's all be thrilled. Nichole Von Atzingen, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much, Reverend Bill. And thank you, Rebecca. That was a beautiful prayer, and I love that story. My goodness. And thank you all. Thank you for creating a space here tonight that is just beautiful and supportive, and thank you for creating this sanctuary, this holy place where I can grow up as a minister. Since I'm about to graduate in a few months, I've been thinking a lot about everything that it took to get me right here to this spot. Do you ever think about that? Like all the people and experiences that you've had in your life that brought you right here to where you are. I think it's easier to think about it when we're happy with where we're at, right? But I've been thinking about my father and his he was kind of a stoic man, so he didn't really talk a lot, so when he did, you were either frightened because you knew you were in trouble, or he was going to say something very profound. And he's passed away, but I've just been thinking about his support and his love and how it really was fundamental in supporting me in my dreams. I've kind of an interesting experience with dads in my life. I never actually met my biological father, and I still know nothing about him but his name. But when I was 17, I had to move out of my home. It was not the best environment for me, and so I moved in with my boyfriend's parents, and they were incredible. They were poor, they didn't have much of anything, but they had more love and generosity and acceptance than I had ever known. I knew nothing about family and dedication and thinking about the whole instead of just my little old life until I came to know them. And you know how Jesus always would call God Father? I never got that. I grew up in this philosophy. I never understood God as some guy. I understood it as all things, right? But once I met Steve, who I consider my father, I got it. I started to feel for the first time this divine masculine, this divine creative, powerful force that was the Father. And so there are many, many lessons, many things that my father Steve has taught me. But the one that I want to share with you this evening, or the few, is about being the rebel. It's about being an outlaw. And so our talk title this evening is An Outlaw State of Mind. And don't worry, I'm not promoting anybody getting thrown in jail. Nothing like that. What I'm talking about is this ability to be a metaphysical rebel, a mental outlaw, someone who's willing and able and courageous enough to step outside of the box, to step away from the status quo and into our own powerful, unique lives. My dad, Steve, he was definitely this kind of rebellious outlaw. He was like greasy mechanic, cigarette smoking, working on cars, kind of masculine, loving force of nature. And so in honor of him and in honor of the outlaw in all of us, I want to share with you 3 different aspects of an outlaw state of mind. The first one is we just don't give a damn. We just don't give a damn. And I love this lesson he taught me because for so many years I did. I grew up in a very small town, and there was a way that things were expected of me. I was expected to grow up, to get married, to have babies, to be happy and clean the house and take care of a husband and cash our checks at Walmart and be happy. And I tried from probably the age of 12 to 26 to fit into this box, to be the person, because I didn't want to be the outcast. I didn't want to be the person everybody was talking about or who, oh, that girl. But as I got older, I realized that it was just causing me a lot of depression and anxiety. And it was really stifling my soul because I had ideas, I had beliefs that were different from the people around me. I acted and thought in ways that were different from the people around me, and there was nothing wrong with who they were. I just couldn't fit into their box and live fully. Do any of you ever feel that way? Have you ever? Yeah? Okay, I'm not the only one. And so what I realize is that sometimes we find ourselves in bondage, kind of tied down metaphorically to these chains of false beliefs, to these chains and ideas in our inner world and in our outer world. And we can find ourselves tied up to these ropes and chains in our inner world from abusive words, through experiences when we were children, when we were told to turn our music down, to quit playing, to sit still and be quiet, to be seen but not heard, to just do your work. And at some point, we start believing these things. We start believing that we need to be small. We start believing that we need to be quiet and just don't make waves. And we start experiencing this bondage and feel tied down to experiences in our outer world, like our religious structures, like our socioeconomic structures that keep us held down or held within, by our familial structures that ask of us and have a hard time holding boundaries, and all of these things that keep us tied down in this box. And so this place of bondage, this place of being stuck, this is where I just don't give a damn comes into play. This is a spiritual practice. This is when we get to take that step outside of the box and say, no, I'm done. You know, every single one of us who's sitting in this room tonight, we come from a long line of outlaws. These mental outlaws who have been deconstructing and tearing apart the doctrines and structures that have been occluding our thought waves in our minds and our hearts for centuries. One of the greatest examples of this was Jesus, one of the coolest metaphysicians ever, who would rather go to the watering hole and hang out with the prostitutes and the untouchables instead of going and hanging out with the high priests. And then we see this metaphysical rebel in Emerson, in his call to self-reliance, in his reminding us that imitation is suicide. That when we're not living from our most authentic, wholehearted self, we are killing our spirit. And we see this mental outlaw again in Emma Curtis Hopkins. Ooh. When she reminds us that there is good for us and we ought to have it. How often do you get to shout that into the world? How often can you tell somebody down the street, there is good for me and I ought to have it? That is rebellious, ladies and gentlemen. But it's strong, it's strength, it's courage. And we start to see this mental outlaw in ourselves when we begin to take a step back and look around and say, oh, this is not working for me. I don't fit into your box. I'm taking a step outside. I am no longer going to allow the perpetuation of my fears and your fears and the reiteration of these fears to hold me down any longer. I am done. This is the spirit of the New Thought movement. This is the spirit of any spiritual teacher or journey that invites us to recognize our own selves. And this is the spirit of, I just don't give a damn. The second lesson in an outlaw state of mind is we make up our own rules. We make up our own rules. And so I want to ask you a question. What do you think Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Susan B. Anthony all had in common? Besides the fact that they changed the world and everything. What do you think? Well, they were outlaws, and actually each and every one of them was literally arrested making up their own rules. Now, once again, I'm not inviting you to go get yourself arrested or anything, but something really interesting is that Susan B. Anthony in 1872. She was arrested in Rochester, New York. Do you know why? Because she was a woman and she tried to vote. She decided that that rule was not going to work for her. And she decided to make up her own rule. Now, although she spent every moment of her waking life fighting to change the rules, she didn't actually get to see the rule change because she passed away before the 1920 amendment was passed, the 19th Amendment that finally gives women the right to vote. And then we have Martin Luther King, who's a total outlaw, right? He was arrested for peacefully protesting racism and nonviolence. One of these times he wrote the letter from Birmingham jail, which was an amazing sermon. And he actually wrote it in jail on the margins of a newspaper and had to have it smuggled out. And every line and every word of this letter was promoting and enforcing his views on non-violent, peaceful resistance of racism. He decided the rules were not going to work for him. And so he changed them. And what I wonder is, what do you think the difference is between them and us? Do you think there's a difference between them and us? Because I don't. I don't think there's one bit of a difference. The one thing that they have that we could embody, or maybe we do, is that they knew where their source came from. They knew that their source was not outside of them. They knew it wasn't the government or the president or their boss or their corporation or their husband or their wife or their children. Their source came from within them. It comes from within each of us. And it is always speaking to us. It's always calling to us to do what is right for us. What are the rules in our lives that we're needing, that we're being called to step up and change? Every one of us has the voice of God within us. Now, sometimes it can be a little confusing, I know, because we're like, was that the voice of God or was that me, right, inside of us? Well, I'm just going to, short and sweet, if it doesn't hurt yourself or it doesn't hurt someone else, it's the voice of God. So just listen to it, okay? It can feel like God bumps. It could feel like a gut feeling. It could feel like intuition. It could feel like you're hearing voices. But if it's a call for good, then it's the divine spirit moving through us. But it's up to us to recognize that every one of us, has a wellspring of wisdom within us. Every single one of us. And the third aspect that I want to share with you about an outlaw state of mind, embracing this outlaw within us all, is that we live and let live. That we live and let others live. And this one kind of comes naturally once we've embodied the first two, because when we begin to think for ourselves, we begin to live a life that is wholehearted, that is authentic, that is true to who we are. It's a whole heck of a lot easier to allow others to do the same thing. Would you agree? I mean, how many of us feel really happy with ourselves and we're in a really good place and we're still whining and complaining about somebody else is doing something? That doesn't happen, right? Not often. There is a healing power within us when we begin to use our own thoughts, our own words, our own ideas. One of the things that I love so much about this philosophy is that we teach people how to think, not what to think. We are non-doctrinal. We do not push and prod and pull someone into believing a certain thing. Each of us work together to encourage each other to think in a more constructive way that supports our betterment, that supports a more healthier, happier, authentic life. That's one of the coolest things about this philosophy, about being in a spiritual community together. There's this book called How God Changes Your Brain, and it's about these neuroscientists who have done a whole bunch of brain scans to figure out what happens to us during spiritual practices. And you know what they found out was the number one most effective way to create spiritual, mental, and physical health, like physical health, is through faith. It's through faith. So what are we having faith in? Are we having faith in all the stuff that everybody else is telling us we should do and be and have and feel and look like and act like and talk like? Or are we having faith that because we have life, we are individualized centers of God consciousness? We are miracles of life, born to be here for a reason. We are the incarnations of the divine. So we get a say in our lives. We get a say. I recently heard this, I was reminded of this Macintosh commercial from the 90s, and I wanted to share it with you all because I really feel like it kind of embodies this outlaw, this rebellious power to be ourselves that we share in this community and in this faith, actually. And so I'm just going to read it to you real quick. It says, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things a little bit differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you cannot do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because we believe that those who are crazy enough to believe that they can change the world are the ones who do." You know, my father figure, Steve, he may have lived his life with more struggle than joy, more sadness and hard times than good times. But the simple fact that he was able to share his love so unconditionally and instill values of generosity and authenticity into the people around him mean that he was a success in life, and that his love and his light and his life carries on and ripples out through us. And I'm so honored and blessed that I could share this love with each and every one of you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that each and every one of us is crazy enough, is unique enough, is original and outside of the box enough to change our own lives and maybe even the rest of the world in our own unique way. And so I want to invite us this week to think about it, to feel it. And if we need to say, you know what, to somebody, or internally or externally, you can say it in your mind, I just don't give a damn what you think or what you say. And if we need to, let's make up our own rules. Nobody says we can't. Let's make up our own rules. And then naturally, we will allow others to live without judgment as we begin to think for ourselves. So thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you for being so beautiful and brave to be here tonight. And so it is.
Stay up here. Am I on? Hello? 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 Yes, no, maybe, 25. Yes? Yes? Ah, I'm on. So, I don't have to tell you this. but I'm going to anyway. You, me, we have just been the recipient of a talk by a powerful woman, a powerful minister, and a powerful spiritual force. And ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Nichole is a power in her own center in Seal Beach. She and her partner, Reverend Michael Heinley, stepping in to take over that center as Reverend Josh Reeves has gone to Golden to be at Mile High. And the best part of tonight is, not only did Reverend Lori gift us with this wonderful talk, we didn't have to drive to Seal Beach to hear it. She brought it to us. So thank you, Reverend Nichole. One more time, please. Was she great?
Yay. All right, now we're going to do
Terry
some music.
Wilder. Terry.
Woo! You guys are going to know this song, and again, I invite you to sing along wherever you feel so inclined. Little Rascals. All the world over, so easy to see. People everywhere just want to be free. Listen, please, listen, that's the way it should be. There's peace in the valley, people gotta be free. You guys gotta clap or something. Come on, let's get the energy going. Here we go. You should see what a lovely, lovely world this could be. Everyone learn to live together. Sing it. Seems to me such an easy thing it could be. Why can't you and me learn to love one another? All the world, oh, it's so easy to see. People everywhere just gotta be free. This and so simple to me. People everywhere just wanna be free. Yeah. Oh, if there's a man who is down and needs a helping hand, all it takes is you to understand and to pull him through. Seems to me we got to solve it individually. And I'll do unto you what you do to me. Hear 'em shouting from the mountains on out to the sea. There's peace no two ways about it, people got to be free. Asking my opinion will be, it's a natural situation for us all to be free. Oh, all the world, oh, it's so easy to see. People everywhere just want to be free. It's a natural situation for us, easy to see. People everywhere just gotta be free. Peace in the valley, people gotta be free. There's peace in the valley, people got to be free, free, free.
All right, Terry. Be free and think outside the box. That's right. Thank you, Terry.
Terry Wilder and Jim Bianchi, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks.
That brings us to this part of the service where we get not only to receive, but we have an opportunity to give also. So just, if you will, take whatever gift offering you have, if you wish to hold it close to your heart, and just know that receiving and giving are two sides of the same coin. And each time we give, we are sending out an invitation for future receiving. And knowing that the money, the financial energy, the offerings, the gifts that come into this center are stewarded by the board of directors in such fine fashion that they go back out to serve this spiritual community, the community at large, and indeed the national and the global enterprises that Seaside Center for Spiritual Living is invested in. So just know that as we give in gratitude, as we give with open and feeling heart, we open the way for the abundance of God to come back to us. So as the ushers come forward, I just invite you, do we have the affirmation? Sure. To read this prosperity blessing with me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you, Jim Bianchi. So this is the time of our Circle of Love prayer. So I just invite you, if there's somebody in your life that you wish to bring into the Circle of Love, and we'll effect together a prayer for them, for anything you wish, please just raise your hand and I'll call on you and we'll put their name into this circle so that we've included all. Yes. They're in. Bob. Paul. Going once, going twice. Perfect. So, with these people in mind, and with all those who remain unnamed, but thought of nonetheless, let's just bring them all into this circle of love. And what I know is that the circle of love is complete within me. It comprehends all, it includes all, it binds all together with cords of everlasting unity. I can neither depart from its presence, nor can I wander from its care. And as I know this is true for me, I know it is also true for every being who is aware of and receptive to the spiritual nature of the universe. And it is with this knowing that I claim the goodness of God. I claim those things that are part of our very spiritual DNA for each of those names, for each of us, and for each of those unnamed. I know that our birthright, the very essence of who we are, is health, perfection, wholeness. And as individual expressions of the one power, the power from which all things come, and within which all things live and move and have their being, and the power that moves the very stars and planets and galaxies is the same power that courses through our blood, that allows us to design the world in which we live, that allows us to realize and recognize and accept that wholeness, perfection, and completeness of all others. It is with this in mind that I just give great thanks for it being the case, and give great thanks for knowing that it is the case. And so with this heart full of gratitude, I just release this word of wholeness, health, perfection, into the law, that divine law of the universe, knowing that as I do, it is already done. I release it, I let it go, and together we say, and so it is. Sorry, going to my cheat sheet. Oh yeah, we have to thank everybody. Thank you, Ellen, for holding the light. Thank you, Trudy. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm going to leave you for last, probably. And back in our sound booth, we have Tim and Gregory and Ed Reeves. Ed's still here? Yeah. Ginny and the Campbells are off on a well-deserved vacation. And Karen, Reverend Karen Koblenz, has taken over the facilitation of this, so thank you. Thank you, Terry Wilder, Jim Bianchi, and thank you, Reverend Nichole. Next week, oh, look at there. We have a guest speaker next week. Me. Go figure. We'll have Jim Bianchi and TJ Moss from Mojo Jackson. The following week, we're going to have a ministerial student, Pam Cosby Brandman is actually her name. She'll be here speaking with Michael Paul Smith singing. We have any other announcements going on here? Oh, beginning October, the first Wednesday in October, because, you know, this is an interim thing these last 3 weeks, this week, next week, and the following week. We're just an interim thing. As you know, Reverend Lori is on that. She's walking the Camino right now over in Spain, and she won't be back when that's finished. It'll be the new group, the new face of Wednesday night services called Power Up. And you can see all the people who are going to be involved in that. And I think it's going to be pretty energetic and pretty dynamite, and I don't think that we're going to want to miss that. So be there. Oh, yeah. Ordination for Reverend Lori, Sunday, November 12th. Everybody's invited. There'll be, you know, snacks and food, eat, dance, pray. And we'll have a chance to hear some stories about the Camino, I'm sure. Anything else? Oh, yes. So as we go into our universal blessing, I just want to remind you, say this with me, please. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be free from strife. May all beings return to love. Peace be with you forevermore. And I just want to remind you as we close, and just as we go into the closing song, one of these days, you're going to be telling your grandkids and anybody else who will listen that you got to see Reverend Nichole in person right here at Seaside. All right. Thanks for being here. Please stand and grab the hand of God on the right and the hand of God on the left. And let's sing us out of here.
Let your hearts fill with peace from the angels who love our world. Let your hearts fill with peace from the angels who love our world. Peace will change 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 our world. Peace in our hearts. Peace in our world. Peace in our hearts.
So as you go forth from this place right now, I invite you to be such that anybody who does not know God but knows you will come to know God because of you. Namaste and good night.
I can change the world. I could be the sunlight in the universe. You will think our love was really something good, baby, when we could change the world. Oh, if we could change the world. If I could reach the stars and pull one down for you, shining on my heart, so you could see the truth. Then this love I have inside is everything it seems. But for now I find that we all will dream, and we can change the world, and we will be the sunlight in the universe. We know the truth and love is really all is good, because when we will change, the world. Collection, yeah. Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Eric. It's a little bit different version of that. Yeah, yeah. I was like, okay, what can I and what's funny, a lot of times used to playing stuff, I mean, just being chords, so it's like, remembering what